One of the most famous images of political authority from the Middle Ages is the mosaic of the Emperor Justinian and his court in the sanctuary of the Church of San Vitale in Ravenna, Italy. If you look at the map provided, you should notice three things. The first is Rome on the Adriatic Sea. It appears on the left-hand side of your screen. The second image should be the Constantinople. It appears on the right-hand side of your screen under the Black Sea. Constantine, you will recall, moved the capital from Rome to Constantinople. The third image I want you to see is Ravenna in Italy, which is really on the northwest side of the Adriatic Sea, on your left-hand side of the screen. Now, to justify his rule over this vast kingdom, as you can see, Justinian's empire had spread tremendously. He had to have a plan to demonstrate and to legitimize his rule. One thing that he did was dedicate a church to Saint Vitalis, Vitalus. Saint Vitalis was a Roman slave and a Christian martyr. In order to show his power, worked well within the Christian fold, Justinian developed a particular artistic image. Let's look at that artistic campaign of Justinian in the next slide. This is the exterior of San Vitale in Ravenna, Italy. Although Justinian had never visited San Vitale in Ravenna, as part of his political plan to improve the infrastructure, he built churches all over the Roman world. Interestingly enough, this was done with a particular political or propaganda tool in mind. What he was doing was creating a visual reminder to the people of their leader. In the exterior plan, which is octagonal, which you can see on the right-hand side, is the plan of this wonderful little building. The exterior on the left-hand side is faced with brick, unbroken except by buttresses and windows. You will notice it is very simple and plain. But the interior, wow, it's decorated with magnificent gold and tesserae, mosaics and marbles. Wait till you see the next slide. Now, isn't this the most amazing thing you've ever seen? The whole interior is suffused with a glow of yellow light, goldish in color, resulting from the prevalence of gold in the whole mosaic structure and decoration. Isn't this amazing? The mosaics are made out of tesserae, Tesserae, little bits of glass and pottery which are colored in gold. Why do it this way? Because the aim of Justinian was to show the other world. That is, that the divine world is the center of the universe, and the interior represents the exterior of the universe. It shows us what the world is all about, the true world, not the mundane, but the eternal world. And so when people came in to pray, they would see this amazing statues, this amazing color, and they would say, wow, this is where I want to go. Let's look at the next slide. On the left-hand part of this slide, you will notice a vaulted choir ceiling. It creates a natural architectural division, which is curved triangles, four curved triangles, each decorated with elaborate floral and animal designs. At the center is a circular wreath, it's a little bit hard to see, with a haloed lamb standing in a star-studded blue sky, symbolizing Christ as the Lamb of God. On the right-hand side, you see in the center apse the image of Christ. You can see it in the left-hand corner when you're looking at the ceiling. If you notice the image of Christ, he's seated there on an orb, kind of floating, And on his right hand side, right to the bottom, almost at the center of our page, you see the image of Justinian. So Justinian appears then on the right hand side of Christ. Let's look at more closely the image of Justinian. This image is amazing. It gets lost in translation. The slides don't look as well. But look at the background. It's gold and it's beautiful. And the images are sharp and bright. Everything seems alive. Why gold, you may ask? Why is it that all these images look like they're floating? Well, the important thing is not realism here. In contrast to the Greek and the Roman world, Justinian did not want us to be seeing a real world. This is the other world, and in this fantastic other world, the skies are gold. Now, wouldn't you want to live in a land like that? Let's look at this image. To convey his power, Justinian places himself at the center, which is important. Now, let's look at what you see here. Justinian is wearing a purple robe. The purple robe represents the same robe that Christ is wearing, and it is a symbol of royalty. On the left of Justinian is the Archbishop Maximilian, who, of course, if you look above, there's a little inscription to indicate who he is. He wears a gold cloak, holds a jewel cross. Next to him are three other members of the clergy. One of them holds a beautifully decorated Bible, and the other one carries the incense burner. To Justinian's right are two court officials and his military guard. His shield is decorated with the Chi-Rho of Constantine. Constantine, you will remember, was the fellow who actually founded Christianity within this system. So, when you look at this image, you see the mosaic establishes a central position for the emperor between the church and the power of the imperial administration and military. Like the Roman empires of the past, Justinian has religious, administrative, and military authority. The image of court of Theodora appears on the left-hand side of Christ, exactly opposite of Justinian. Now, this image is important because it shows us the importance of Justinian's co-regent. While she doesn't rule as part of Justinian's empire, she is his co-regent, and this image maintains her status. She's presented with her court ladies on the right and two churchmen on the left. She again wears the royal purple robe of power and royalty, and her head is framed by a halo, just as was Justinian's. She offers a golden chalice, and her gesture is echoed by the three magi bearing gifts that is embroidered on the bottom of her robe, her purple robe, and if you look down straight center, you will see that on her robe. Again, this idea of the chalice we have seen before. It's bringing through these processions, that repeated processions, of this idea of giving gifts to people in power. There is no sense of realism here. If you notice, the baptismal font seems to be at an angle in an oval shape, and if it were three-dimensional, the water would actually spill out of this. Theodora stands in the center. She's in a frontal position, as was Justinian. Her diagonal feet indicate she's not naturally supported, and there is no illusion of movement that's created by her, but it's the repetition of the patterns that suggest movement. Total disregard again of perspective, and there is a wonderful circle halo with a cross behind it that suggests again this pious nature, this religious concept of Theodora. You'll also notice that although she is in a frontal position, she's slightly askew. She's not exactly in the center, of course, which means in the hierarchy, she is one step below Justinian. In the final slide, we see Christ in the center. He is at the altar. On his right is Justinian, on his left is Theodora. Christ is beardless. He's an Apollonian prototype. His halo contains the image of the cross. He wears again the purple robe of royalty, and he sits on an orb flanked by two angels, and hands a jeweled crown to San Vitale. Now, the handing of this crown again can mean several different things. The alternate is, if you look on the right hand upper side of the screen, you'll see that he's handing this to San Vitale, but at the same time, it could look like he's sending this to Justinian. So, Christ, who is dressed in this imperial purple, offers this crown of martyrdom not only to San Vitale, but as an offering of the crown to Justinian in the mosaic which is below. Justinian is thus Christ's vice regent on earth, and his army, which you see in that little image, is actually the army of Christ, as signified by the chiro on the shield, which you saw in the image of Justinian, the green shield, which of course came from the past of Constantine. So this background of Christ that you see in the gold, which you also saw with Justinian, is based on a textual basis. Constantine had called himself the Sol Invictus, the invisible sun, and so you see this golden thing. And Christ himself had proclaimed himself as the light of the world. So I want you to take a few things with you. Think about this. All the ideas we've studied to date and all the concepts that we have seen in the ancient Near East as well as in Egypt and now in the medieval world are quite similar. However, although ideas and symbols are similar, they are placed now within a Christian context. Symbols of power are adopted and become part of the lexicon of the artist. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope that you have a good week off, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye now.